How you guys doing? Today is March 12th, 2022. Welcome to Buy the Bulls Trading, the only real online trading channel that actually likes 9 to 5 folks who don't really want to YOLO their trades every single day, but learn and get better at trading every single day with a full-time job. I'm here to help. My name's Evan. Today we're going to be reviewing the last 5 or 6 days worth of calls. I used to do this quite a lot when I first started. I just got so busy with the course that I had made and is now done, but now I can actually kind of focus on reviewing the trades. So what we're going to do today, like we used to do, was every Saturday we're going to go through every single trade that I called, review it. I mean, like 20-30 seconds a call, nothing too crazy. Go over if they won, if they lost, review my actual percentage of winning versus losing, and then of course we're also going to go into the 2 trades I took this week. I went into ST and I went into IHRT. I'll review what I'm looking at, why I got out of one of them, why I'm still in one of them, and how it's looking. With that being said, we have almost 45 calls to go through together. Not gonna take very long, but this is a great way for y'all who like my channel to really review what I'm doing and what I'm seeing. With that being said, let's get into it. Of course, we got our cat cam on deck. He's napping. He's being a good boy. Oh, the little paw. He just said, hello, everybody. No, he's being good today. It is really windy outside, so hopefully it doesn't wake him up or goofs with the audio. But we got a bunch of great calls to get into. Let's review, go through them together. Let's do it. So first is AFLAC AFL. This was a win. Really nice trend up, nice support. Old resistance became a support. We called it. It ran up almost the next day, 5.5%. It came down, ran up again, and now we're kind of chopping about. But this was a really good call. I mean, it had a great trend line. It got right to where we wanted it. A little bit too high. You may have missed the move. If you wanted pure value, you know, maybe about another 0.5% lower. But overall, AFL, we called the breakout, retested, did again, easy 5% dub. AFL goes in the win column. Next is CNO, another good win. This is the same exact thing as AFL, where I think you may have missed the move if you wanted pure value, which is fine. I think $22 is a way better entry than $22.40, right? I think that's a way better entry. But, you know, I called it, said it may come down. As we can see, it tapped my loading zone, took off, and made a really nice 5-6% move as well. The next day, hit it again, and again, same kind of thing, chopping about. But CNO here, really good win, easy dub. That's 2 dubs. H-band is much the same. I will call a stop loss loser if it breaks the stop loss area, just so we're clear. So it came down to my loading zone the next day, made a great move up, came down, and then did it again. So H-band here, we are seeing some higher lows, seeing even a possible cup form here, and that's the case. You may want to look at an H-band again. But overall, great uptrend. It did break down a little bit, but you could have easily seen 4 or 5% dub once again, overnight hold, H-band, another win. Next is Kim, another win. We had it come right down to where we wanted it. Look at that trend line. Held almost perfectly, ran up a nice 7 or 8%, and again, now it's kind of goofing around, making a good move. Kim at 22.75 is always a dub. This trend line was great. Old resistance became a support, the exact same setup as AFLAC, and again, it made a nice move. 8% winner, another dub. Next is MTW, another good win. They came down right to where we wanted it, and again, it's usually about, you know, 4 or 5 blocks out, so it came down right to where we wanted it. Made a nice move, almost 17% the next day. It came down, held again, it moved up 10 more percent. MTW, if it does drop down at 1450, 1470, needs to be on your guys' watches for this trend. It has not broken out yet. I'm watching it carefully, because we do see MTW come down to 1520s and into the 14s. It'll be another great pickup once again. But that's 5 dubs in a row, looking pretty good. OCFC was a win. Very close. Very, very close, though. We can see it broke down. I called it over here same exact day. It ran up nicely. It came down. It would have broken, and then it came up, tapped it again, and now it's holding. I mean, we could realistically see probably a 3 or 4% winner. Nothing too crazy here, but it's holding beautifully. Would I go along with it again? I don't think so. I think there's better plays, and now that we see that's broken the trend line, lower highs. I think OCFC may have seen its final nice move here, or a new pattern may form. Sure, we may see it come over here, maybe a horizontal play. OCFC was a dub for us, but overall, I think at this point, buying back in makes very little sense. USB was another dub, very close once again. Again, we called it like 4 days out. You should put the blocks over here. It ran up very nicely, and then it collapsed on us. So you would have had a day trade this one, or even just like swing overnight. Really good move, but now it's being lost. I don't think this is a horrible thing, but again, consistent lower highs, lower lows. We got the swing that we wanted, and now I think it's done for. Maybe on a smaller time frame, like a 20-day, there's probably some form of a wedge here that you could be watching for a play, for sure. But I don't think USB is the best play at all anymore. But that's another dub for us. You'd love to see it. Next is win, a very nice win. And again, it was very close to being a loss. Again, I called it. You should play these blocks 4 or 5 days out. Called it right here, same exact day. It ran up almost 10%, then absolutely collapsed. So again, I don't think win's a play here. It did exactly what I wanted it to do, but man, it dropped like a freaking brick after it made a nice move up here. So again, not good now, but for us, it was a good play. Of that day, that was 8 out of 8 wins. You would have at least been green with, and hopefully ended with a 0% stop loss. So even win, you would have been up, fat 10%. You're locking in profits in my moonshot area, and hopefully would have locked in profits. But even a play like OCFC, let's say you missed the initial run up, you would have at least broken even. So every single play from this day was a green. Not the same for the next day. BEKE made a nice move. I consider this a loss, and again, it could have been easily a win. You can see how very close it is to hitting my take profit spot, but I don't think that's a very fair shake of it. I don't think it's fair of me to say it was a win. It's very close. I would have said it's a win if it would have held, and it didn't. It collapsed completely because of earnings. It would have been a break even. I mean, I would have bought in or somewhere around here, held for a day, and it could have been broke even. I consider this a loss. Again, I could have given myself a dub, but I'm going to be transparent. The play afterwards is much worse, and so for that, I'll take responsibility. It's an L, but I think it could have been at least a break even. Bros is another great win. They ran up beautifully, came up, came down, did it again. Easy, what, 7% win? No, 15, 16% win. BROS, a nice dub for us, exactly what we wanted to see. COF is a L. I did see this move, and I would have considered this part of my play, which is where I called it. But here's the problem. It didn't enter my loading zone. If I would have made the loading zone higher, I would have considered this a win because it would have gone in my loading zone. It ran up almost 9%, and then came down and hit it, and then it came down. So again, to be transparent, COF could have very easily been a dub, but I'm going to be, fair to myself and to everyone who watches. I didn't hit the loading zone where I wanted it, so it's an L for that case. DFS is another L. Again, it came down beautifully. 11 days out, so we would have missed this move. Came down again. Made a really nice move of like 4 or 5% here, 3 or 4%. And then you would have come down and hopefully breaking even. But again, it didn't hit my green box. It came down, didn't hit it. So we're going to consider this another L. So it's 3 L's and 1 green. G-Roy is a win. It came down. Boop. Nice move up of 5%. And then it continued to break down. So G-Roy is a very close one to being an L. It's not one I buy into currently. It made the move we wanted to see really nicely. Small win. GTSC is an L. It could have been a dub if I were to see the breakout sooner. I knew it was going to break out eventually. It came up nicely, and then it said F you, and it came down 1.5%. We stopped out. You could have bought into the support play down here if you wanted to. You wouldn't have. And then our shop and made a price target. But because I put my stop loss for a breakout, it's going to be an L for us in this one as well. QFIN, I was waiting for it to cross over here. Again, it came down nicely, right in our spot. Moved up, right, fine. But I called it again over here. Said, hey, looks pretty good coming down. And then the next day it drops 9%. So you would have had a stop loss. You would at least regain something if you didn't, and could have gotten out. But QFIN, I mean, again, it's a great support play. Earnings was just terrible. It is what it is. That's another L. And then YY is actually, I put, again, this as an L, not because I didn't call it where I wanted it. I called it right here. Did what I wanted, 13%. But I don't like the ensuing fall off here, right? That's not what I want to see. I did call it right here. They went doop the next day, and then it collapsed. So I'm going to call this one an L just because of the ramifications if you didn't take profit. And I mean, I may make the thumbnail say it's a dub, but between us who watches this, I'll call it an L just because it ran down so brutally. So again, we had 2 wins in here, 6 L's that day, just given the fact that the markets are so tumultuous. It happens, and we got to be transparent about that. Back to our cat cam real quick. Look at my face. We have ourselves a nice little kitty here taking a nap. He's having himself quite the day. So with the next day, we have Fifth Third Bank. Not the move we want to see. Again, it came down. Nice move up, and then it collapsed on us. So again, we saw it here, right? Usually make about 4 or 5 days out. It came down nicely, moved up, and then it collapsed on us. So again, I'm gonna consider this one. I'll call that a green because it did hit our price target, but again, with the fall down, not great. So I'll call it a green for the thumbnail, but it didn't do what I wanted it to do. So I'm not really happy about that. Again, 5% in 1 day is fine, but then it collapsed down brutally, and that's not what you want to see. But again, it would hit the price target, but not a great trade nonetheless. F-Wonk's an L as well. Came down, hit the stop loss. It held the support beautifully, but I called it early. You would have been down 2 or 3%. That's usually my maximum. F-Lonk, great play. That's just going sideways now. Didn't do what I wanted. That's an L. Fiber's a win. Nice play. Came right down to our little trend line. Made a great 6-7% move. Hit the top. Took profit. Love to see it. FYBR still consolidating. If this does come back down to 24 and some change, look into it. Could be a fantastic play for you. Next is KBE. This is another L just because it came down, didn't hold, and then broke down. I got to double check when I called it. I think I called it over here. I might have. I have no idea. I got to double check that. But I think I called it over here. Came down, collapsed. That's a stop loss. Not great. MGM is also an L. Came down beautifully, absolutely beautifully, and then collapsed more. So again, MGM was probably one of the best channel ups in a fat minute. Has broken down, becoming a nice support play. If you can get MGM towards 36 bucks, even 35, it breaks down farther, anywhere near this area, MGM could be a really good play in the future. L for that case. PSNL is actually going to be a dub. Called it right over here. It went doop and made like a 25% move, and then did it again, and now it's coming back down into value. If PSNL does in fact get to like $8.16, $8, low risk, huge reward play if it does break out. I'm still watching it. This can break down. Don't get me wrong. This could easily go and drop like 25% like a brick. So be careful. But PSNL, a nice win. May not look like it. Man, you get a nice 15% move and a 25% move. That's a dub in my book. Next is SFAL again. It came down great and it held. I was like, this gap wants to be filled. It broke down. We would have gotten out. The support didn't hold. The trend line didn't hold. Overall, not great. It is what it is. And our last play of this day was ST, a trade I actually took, and I actually got an L on. So what happened? Let's review together. So at this point, I'm going to go over what I saw, how I played it, and then what happened. So I think this is really good for y'all who are new to go deep dive into what I saw. So I went into ST. Let me zoom over here. Get rid of this trend line. It's kind of in the way. I got into ST right about $54 and some change, $54.60, $54.70. I went in right about here. It dropped. I wasn't that upset about it. It's okay. And then it opened up at $53. And I was like, all right, I'm going to hold just because there's two major gaps above us. So I thought that was fine. And it came down. It didn't get to my price target. Let me get a little bit zoomed out here real quick so you can see a little bit easier. My apologies. Should do this in the future a little bit different, but it's okay. So it came down. Right here, I said I'm gonna give myself a $53 stop loss. I got real close. $53 was my stop loss. I said it's fine. It came up like this. It dropped. It came up, hit, and I sold out. So I mean, I got what I made like 4 or 5%. It wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't great. I sold half, like right about here. I broke even, and I sold the other half as a small group. So I made like 2% on this trade. Wasn't crazy. When it comes to the indicators, what I was watching was the 50 EMA line. We didn't break above it, wick down. I just got out. I couldn't break the 10. There was no life. The stochastic never crossed. Vortex never showed life. Bears were going higher. There was no life at all. And again, I guess it must have been a little bit premature entering it. But ST was a really good value play. It just didn't bounce how I wanted it to. I basically broke even. I think I sold a few shares for like -2%, sold some for like +2%, and just kind of broke even. It wasn't a great trade. It wasn't terrible, but I didn't make any real money on it. But that's what I saw. Great horizontal play. It couldn't break that 10 EMA line for a minute, and it couldn't get, the indicator showed no life. It was just kind of chopping her out, so I just got out. But overall, a fine trade. So next is ASB. It is not a win or a loss. It's still neutral. Now, you would have bought in somewhere probably around 22.50 or so. You know, you would have been down 1%, now up about 3%. It hasn't hit my price target. I got very close. Mathematically, I'm pretty good at that. It has not gotten there yet, so it's a neutral until it hits the green box or the red. So this one is a wash. We'll put it part of the equation for the end of the episode of like wins versus losses, but it's not a win yet, although it is green. Next is BKU, easy win. It came down, it held our stop loss area pretty well, moved up 5%, just like we wanted to see. It wicked down, didn't hold. Overall, BKU, a nice move. You could probably play it again towards 40, but overall, a nice little play there. CFVI, it was molding around, called it right about here, came down, now it's moving up. It hit our price target really quick on a wick there. We'll consider a dub for that. I'll probably make it a neutral for my equation because I don't think that's a very fair like indicator of like tapping the resistance. But overall, a good trade. Next is CLS. It came down beautifully. It held, moved up nicely the next day. Easily could have been a nice 9 or 10% move. Did what I wanted to do gracefully, holding well. CLS in the future is still a really good play. Next is ON. This one I have to consider an L just because it broke our stop loss. And again, I was off by 11 cents, which I mean, I'm pretty good with the math of these things. I thought I was going to hold. Again, it opened up and then it moved back up. So, I mean, it's a really close call. Again, 10% trade. I would consider it a win, but with being transparent, it hit the stop loss. I'll be fair. I'll consider that a small L. Next is Sava. Again, it should be a green. Should be when it opened up down here and came back up, basically. It did cross the stop loss. It should have been an easy 10% win. Oh, I'm sorry, Blood. But just because it hit the stop loss first, it'll be an L as well. Next is TFC. Good dub. It held, moved up the next day 6% and hit our stop loss. Still very playable. It'll a bit lower, but TFC, an easy win. And then next is Zion. Shout out to Williamson. Not really. A nice play here. Dropped a percent. Went up 6%. Hit our take profit. Another dub. So again, we had like 2 or 3 L's that are very close here. But overall, that day, mainly green trades. Next is ACGL. Perfect tap off the support. Nice move of 5%. That's a nice win right there. CP. Again, I'll consider it's an L because it broke out above here, but it's still very much a neutral play here. I think if you were to see it, you know, at this point for a short, if the markets get red, it's very much in the realm of being an easy short here. If it does break over it, I'm not going to be upset. You can go long, but CP, I'll definitely check out this week. Next is DUK, wrong one. DUK, it's neutral. It hasn't hit stop loss or take profit. Again, you would have been up like a good chunk, like 2% here. You would have taken profits there, but again, for a short this week, I would definitely watch it. ETR did exactly what I wanted to do perfectly. Boom. Good 4% trade there. Drop like a brick. Going long at 100 makes sense. Shorting up here, even better. GNW, neutral. Again, you would have been up 4 or 5%. You could have at least scaled out some, but I wouldn't. But I think overall, we're holding beautifully right here. Not red, not green, just neutral. Johnson & Johnson, real close, good short of like 3 or 4%. It's not coming back up, but dropping again. J&J, neutral, hasn't hit stop loss or take profit quite yet. Next is UMH. What we're seeing here is another neutral trade, right? We're waiting for it to either break out or come down like a brick. If the markets look red, UMH, easy short, but right now it's still neutral. Next is VMW. Look at that. Boom. Nice move up 10% the next day. Wicked down, topped off here. Coming back down. VMW for a support play. Absolutely killer. And that gets us into Thursday's trades. Let's look at those real quick. CWK. I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. Overreaction. Moved up. Looks great. Neutral for the equation. Looks pretty good. HPP. Again, neutral. Looking really good here for a bearish divergence on the indicators. Not holding well for a short. HPP looks really good. We'll do IHRT last. That's what I bought into. KRG. Shorting, again, you consider this an L because it did break over it. I'm going to be fair to myself and say it's not because I called it on Thursday. I may review it and see what it does from there, but overall, neutral still. MMP, dub, easy short. Next is next. Again, we saw this, came down, and it's still holding well. If we do see this come down, easy short, next looks fantastic. WAB is next. It came up nicely, got close to a win on the first day. It's coming back down, neutral, and then WELL is continuing to breaking out. I think shorting still makes sense, but I think also going long makes sense as well. Now let's review IHRT. I'm actually still in this trade. Let's go through what I see live and what I'm looking at and what I'm going to do and what's my next plans. So again, I'm very transparent about this. I only trade stocks that I call, and I use my stop loss and my take profit. If you want these boxes or all that kind of stuff, check out the Patreon. These are for all the patrons. You get them every single day. So we're looking here. I actually bought in almost perfectly. It's actually pretty crazy. I bought in literally like 1835 right here. Looks good. Ran up nicely 3% and now up about 2.75% right about now. And we do our indicators. What am I looking at? So price action wise, I'm satisfied, right? My worst case is moving my stop loss up to 1830 and getting out quickly. The reason is this support has never been one that it tries more than once. You have this one time, but like if it taps a third or fourth time, I'm just going to get out. I don't like how it accumulates at the support. I want to see it accumulate at resistance to show strength. Currently, I want to see a 10 cross. The 10 crosses are good for short-term swings and day trades. So if I can see that tomorrow, if I can get one like green boy, doop, like that, I'm happy. And then at that point, I can use the 10 EMA line. It kind of comes around like this. I can then use the 10 EMA line as a take profit as well. If it kind of starts to kind of like muddle around, I can use the 10 EMA as a take profit, at least end green. 50 cross is great. If we get over the 50, I'll hold for a long period of time. Over the 200, I'm prepared to hold for a fairly long period of time. Let this bad boy run. When it comes to our indicators, plenty of room for our side to move up. That's not concerning. Stochastic, no real bearish divergence. It's fine. These are all lower highs. These are all lower highs. And again, this is a small, I'm not going to put much weight into this. Okay, there's not much weight. That is a small bullish divergence. It's small. And the blue looks like it's about to cross over. If I were to kind of zoom in over here on the stochastic, wrong one. If the blue does cross the red tomorrow and continues, that's a good sign of momentum into next week. This is good. Good editing. And then vortex-wise, it can't get much lower. Bulls are exactly where you want them. Bears are high. So I think IHRT here, I'm really satisfied with what I did. I waited all week to trade. I didn't like anything that I saw on a macro scale, and so I waited for IHRT to kind of come down to where I want it. It held. I bought in. I'm happy. So I think the markets this week, let's check together. I think the markets this week didn't do extraordinary. They had a nice run up. But we go back 5 days. Let's just use a 5-day chart. Well, that would be nice. You know, you can go back 5 days. Looks like we started off somewhere around like, 427. It's down 1.78% due to ST being basically neutral and IHRT. I'm up about, I put about half my account, 1.5% this week. I'm up 1.5. Markets are down 1.7, 3% difference. That's good. Again, if you have a day job and you can't day trade all day and you want to just kind of do something more calm and like relaxing and less stressful, I suggest check out the rest of the channel. I appreciate y'all being here. Overall, if I did the math correctly, I have to go back through and just double check. It looks like overall it was about 55% wins, 25% neutral, and 20% or so, 20-15% red. So not bad at all for a swing trader in this kind of market, proving it's still fine. It's not the greatest. You can probably scalp and long-term invest just as easily your options, but if you want to learn how to swing trade, day trade, options trade, all kind of stuff, check us out on the description box down below. Patreon's down there. Check out other videos. I thank you so much for being here. Have a good rest of you guys' weekend. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. Thanks.